Okay, let's see some of the responses and we'll start taking a look at them all. Okay, starting with Jin Yi. We'll post yours here on the screen. Okay, so Jin Yi, you said time is precious. You can't buy it. Okay, so that's good. That makes sense. Let's see how we can kind of make some things, see if we can make some changes to make this flow well, so the reader really understands what we're talking about when we write down our interpretation of a quote. So this quote was really talking about time is a substance from which I am made. So it's basically that first sentence is talking about we are made of time, and it's using like metaphors to basically compare time with things like a river, with things like a tiger, with things like fire. It's using those kinds of comparisons. Like time is a river which carries me along, but I am the river. So it's like it means that no matter which way the river goes, you are in control of that. You know, a tiger can eat you when you're next to one, but you are the tiger. You control what happens to you. That's what it's saying. You are in control of your time. That's really what this means. So, Jinyi, when you're saying time is precious, you can't buy it. So the first thing we want to do here, um, you can say there's different ways you can approach this. One way is saying you can say time is precious, um, and I'm gonna say put some red here. Time is precious, and you can't buy it. Like, what else do you think you can add to this, Jinyi? So let's say we can add something more, one more sentence to this. So if you say time is precious and you can't buy it, um, it could be like, it is one of the most valuable things we have, and we cannot put a price on it. Something like that. This shows more of like your idea, right? So you're talking about how time is precious and you can't buy it. That's like your idea. That's your interpretation of this paragraph. But let's add something more. Let's make it more descriptive. Let's make it more of a story, more of an interpretation for our readers, our audience, someone who reads this so that they understand what you're talking about. So you can say time is precious and you can't buy it. It is one of the most valuable things we have, and we cannot put a price on it, meaning that it's so valuable. Okay, let's take a look at the next example here. So Yvain, I'm gonna put yours here in the chat. Let's take a look at it. Oops. Here we go. So, Yvain, you're saying, I think this quote is about time, which is the thing that you use. You're the real master of your life. You can control the way you want to be. Okay, that's good. That's very a good interpretation of what this quote is. So let's see how we can kind of adjust a few things here. So I think this quote is about time, and then let's put in here time being, and then we'll take out the is. Time being just a thing that you use. And then not your, like with this in this way of spelling, but it's the other your, right? Like this one. You're the real. That's the spelling of real, real. Let me take out this. So you're the real master of your, not live, but life. Life. There you go. You're the real master of your life. You can you can control the way you want to be. There you go. That's good. Does it make sense to everyone?
Yes.
Sounds good. Awesome. Okay, we're gonna go over two more and then we're gonna carry on. Two more examples. Okay, so this one is from Brady. So Brady, you're saying, I think it means that whatever knocks you down can overwhelm you and you don't like it, but sometimes you can be the substance that changes or is a part of it. Okay, so that's pretty good. So I think so when you say so basically when someone asks you like what does this quote mean to you, when in a paragraph you don't want to say it right away. You want to say what it is. What is the subject? So instead of saying it, say like the quote. So that's because you want people to know. Like for example, if your friend want to know your opinion about this paragraph and you send them this paragraph, your friend wants to know your opinion about the quote and you send him this paragraph, he wouldn't know what it means. So instead of saying it, write down the subject. So the subject would be the quote. I think the quote means that whatever, and whatever is one word, whatever knocks you down can overwhelm you. And instead of saying don't, you can say may not, just so it makes a bit more sense in this context. It'd be like may not, like that. So there you go. You may not like it, but sometimes you can go. But sometimes you can be the substance that changes. Sometimes you can be the substance that is a part of it. So when you talk about changes, meaning you are in control of your time, right? So I think the quote means that whatever knocks you down can overwhelm you, and you may not like it. Let's end it right here as the first sentence, and then let's start a new sentence over here. So I'll take out this, and then I'll put like put a period there, and over here will be however. So like that. And however just means like you basically you use the word however when like the first sentence, so whatever comes before the however is like one point, and then you say however, and that's whatever comes after however is something that is different than what's the first part, right? That's when you use however, it's to show a bit of a contrast between the 2 points that we're making. So over here you're saying, I think the quote means whatever knocks you down can overwhelm you and you may not like it. However, sometimes you can be in control of that time. So, however, sometimes you can be the substance that changes or is a part of it. That's good. And just one more example. We'll go over Serena's. So, Serena, you're saying, I think this quote means that time is important and we should not waste time. When this writer said time is a fire, I think that it meant that time runs fast as a fire burns quickly. Example, Grace needs to finish an assignment today and it is due tomorrow. But Grace was playing video game that day and she still didn't finish her assignment. Okay, this is pretty good, very descriptive. So over here, we're saying, I think this quote means that time is important and we should not waste time. When his writer said time is fire, I think that it meant that time runs fast as a fire burns quickly. And then here you can say an example of this would be an example of this would be um, a girl named Grace who a girl named Grace who needs to finish an assignment today. And so you can take out the comma and do tomorrow. And you can just say, again, you can add the word however, right? However, Grace was playing video games that day and she still didn't finish her assignment. So that's good. Okay. Makes sense to everyone? Any questions at all? Good. Okay. Here is another quote. Okay, so we're going to do a similar exercise here. Basically, I would like for one of you to read this paragraph out. It's a quote by Ralph Waldo Emerson. He was a poet. So for this one, can Brady, can you please read this paragraph, this quote, please?
Whatever course you decide upon, there is always someone to tell you that you're wrong. There are always difficulties arising in that tempt you to believe your critics are right. To map out a course of action and follow it to an end requires the same courage that a soldier needs. Peace has its victories, but takes brave men and women to win them.
Good job. Okay, so what I'd like for everyone to do is to read this paragraph again to yourself, and we're then going to um, write about what we think about this. But just so I can see what your understanding is, and then I will then explain it and write a paragraph about it in 10 minutes time. So if everyone can take 10 minutes and basically write out what your interpretation of this means, what does it mean to you? Just like the exercise we just did, but this is a new quote this time. Do that, and then we'll take it up in 10 minutes time. But I will give my answer, and then we'll see which person basically has the interpretation of what this means, and then we'll take it from there. So I'll see you in about 10 minutes, and then just post your answers in the chat by 10 minutes. Thank you. Okay, we'll take another 2 minutes. If everyone else can start posting their answers in the chat, please. Okay. So once again, we'll just take a look at what this is saying. So first sentence is saying, whatever course you decide upon, there's always someone to tell you that you are wrong. So it says, well, no matter what you do, there's always going to be someone saying that you're making a mistake, you're not doing the right thing. Then it says there are always difficulties arising that tempt you to believe your critics are right. To map out a course of action and follow it to an end requires some of the same courage that a soldier needs. Peace has victories, but it takes brave men and women to win them. Okay, so I had to look at some of the responses in the chat. I'm gonna go ahead and write what is like my interpretation of this paragraph. So I'll say something like, to me, Ralph's quote speaks about um, being persistent, which means to always like not giving up and to keep going. To me, Ralph's quote speaks about being persistent, especially when faced with adversity. Adversity means challenges. So it can be like, um, because it is important to always believe in yourself and not not get too caught up with the opinions of others. And then be like, and the last part of it talks about bravery, right? So, I can just say now it takes a lot of bravery to, and then here was talking about it takes a lot of bravery to continue to, let's say, follow your passions. It takes a lot of bravery to continue to follow your passions when others discourage you to do so. So this is basically what my interpretation of this is. So I'll read it again for everyone. So to me, Ralph's quote speaks about being persistent, especially when faced with adversity. It is important to always believe in yourself and not get too caught up with the opinions of others. It takes a lot of bravery to continue to follow your passions when others discourage you to do so. So basically what that means is the last part of this is that when you let's say you really wanted to become an astronaut, right? You want to fly to space, and then your friends and your family are saying, you shouldn't do that. It's not the right career. What if you get, something happens to you over there? Because it is a very like physically demanding kind of career, and you have to be away from family and friends for a long time, to be in space. Not everybody can adapt to that environment. So, but let's say you really want to be an astronaut. You've always wanted that since you were like, 4 or 5 years old. You've watched the movies about it, you read books about it. So that was your life goal, your career to do that. But others said, hey, you shouldn't be an astronaut. You should do something else instead. To be able to continue down that path of becoming an astronaut, it takes a lot of bravery because you have a lot of people telling you, "Hey, don't do this, don't do that, stay away from that," and nobody's there to support you, but you're except for yourself. So that's an example of what this means. It's always good as well to when you write like your interpretation of something. So in these exercises that we did, to write it in this kind of paragraph format where you start off by saying the subject, which is Ralph's quote, right? Um, Mention that in the first sentence right away, so the reader knows what you're referring to, what you're talking about. Then you could talk about what your main idea is. Give your argument, your point. Make your point right away. Then give a bit more insight, more details about your point. And then sometimes you can give examples, that example I just gave about the astronaut. You don't have to always mention that, but if you want to give more descriptive and give your reader more you know value in this kind of exercise, then you can also give an example as well. So I believe Serena gave an example in one of the previous exercises where we're talking about the video game. So you can give examples as well when you do these kind of exercises. All right, moving on. So we're going to go over something, a type, basically a branch of language. This is called semantics. Semantics has to do with the meaning and interpretation of words and sentences. So there's different kinds of semantics, okay? So formal semantics is the relationships between words and the meaning that it has. Conceptual semantics is how words show that meaning. Lexical semantics is studying the meaning of the words, and phrasal semantics is like phrases or sentences, understanding what those sentences are. So we're going to go over briefly a few of these different things. So for formal semantics, let's see here. Um, an example of formal semantics is, does anybody know what these words mean? And does anyone want to give it a shot? Like what is, based off of the first one, formal semantics, does anybody know an example of what that would look like? Okay, I'll give you guys an example. Right over here. An example of formal semantics is like, for every apple, there are two oranges. That's an example of formal semantics. It's using logic. So there's some kind of relationship that exists. So relationship between words and meaning. So when we what is the words that we're using here? So we're making some kind of comparisons, a relationship between two things. So you could say for every apple, there are two oranges. Um, for every cat, there are three dogs. So being able to make these kind of relationships between an apple and the orange, between the cat and the dog, that is an example of formal semantics. It's all about the relationship between two different things in that sentence and using logic to show that. So there's some kind of logic that's behind it, some kind of like relationship between them. That's how we would represent this. And then I'll do one more. So we'll do the lexical semantics. Yes, that's correct, Jin. For every lion, there are two tigers. That's correct. Okay, so let's see here. We're looking at lexical semantics. Does anybody know what the word lexical means?
Now,
Okay. So what lexical means is basically, you know, it's talking about the feelings of something, what like another word for it is like, communicative. So you basically like how do you communicate something? So over here, it's like the meaning of words. How do you communicate the meaning of words? So let's say, think of a good example of this could be um, a home is a place to be at peace and happy. It's basically trying to say like you're so in this case what we're doing is we're basically studying the meaning of words. So the word that we're talking about is home. Home is the subject, and what we're doing is we're talking about the meaning of that word. So in this case, what is the meaning of home to you? It's a place to be at peace and to be happy. You can also say a school. A school is a place to learn new things. Okay. So I'll write that example down as well. This is all about the meaning of words. So a school is a place to learn new things. And in this case, the subject is the school. So there you go. Those are two examples of lexical semantics and formal semantics. So formal semantics is about relationship, right? For every apple, there are two oranges. Relationship between the words. Lexical semantics is about the meaning of this word, meaning of home, meaning of school. That's what we do here. Okay, the last exercise that we're going to do for today is basically going over some vocabulary. These are different words here. And I would like for all of you to try your best to write a sentence for each of these words, okay? So read these words. Some of them you may have seen before, others may be new words. Try your best. You can even search up the definition of it. We'll go over all of them together anyways, but I would like for you to first try the exercise and then we'll take it up together. So we'll take about 5 minutes for this one. So just quickly, write like a sentence, one sentence. No need to make it descriptive or a story or anything, just or a paragraph. Just make it a quick sentence about with each word to the best of your ability, and we'll take it up in 5 minutes. Okay. See you all then. All right. So I see some of the answers in the chat, looking pretty good. So let's take a look at the first one, tacit. So tacit, this means to when something is understood without having to say, having to state it. So it means like implied, right? So when something's implied, like for example, um, okay, so a good example of this is like, let's say you went to the restaurant with your friends and you ate a burger, you made a really good facial expression, like and you nodded, but you didn't say anything. So it's tacit. So one example of that is like it's implied that you like the burger without you actually saying that you like it. So that's an example there. So it could be like um, your expression can be taken to meant that it's tacit that like you like that burger. So let's see like and one of the examples there I see in the chat. Okay, so let's write this
Can
out.
you copy and paste the words?
Yeah, like let's say over here, an example I'm gonna put here. John tacitly,
I meant like the words on slide 16.
sure.
Okay.
Okay. So John tacitly showed that he enjoyed his burger. Let's go over the next one, endorse. So what does endorse mean, right? Endorse means to show your support in something. So let's see an example from the chat here for endorse. So Wesley, you said he endorsed the idea of what she say. So I'm just going to paste that in here. You can so basically like when you say endorse, you have to either say it like in a present tense. So either you have to add an S here because the subject is he, right? So you have to add in an S here. So let's do that. Like he endorses or he endorsed the idea of what she says, right? Because it's a verb to endorse something. So he endorses the idea. You don't have to say of what she says. You can say he endorses her idea, and then you can make it simple like that. And then maybe you could even add like what the idea was if you want to take it a step further. So you can say he endorses her idea that. So let's take all this out and then put here he endorses her idea of going to the mall or let's say for shopping. So so what does this mean? To show the support of something, right? So he endorses her idea of going to the mall for shopping. He supports her idea to go to the mall and go shopping. That's what that means. Okay, we'll do one more. Melodius. Okay. That's the word. Does anybody know what this word means?
I wrote it in the chat.
Yes. Very beautiful music. Yeah. So it's a very beautiful music or a very pleasant tune. The sound of something very pleasant. There you go. So let's say, you're at a concert. An example of this would be the singer has a melodious voice. Okay? That's basically this word here. All right, so now we're at the end of the session, and what we're going to do now is just go over your homework. Did everybody enjoy today's class? Did you learn a lot? Do you have a good time? Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Awesome. So your homework for today is to review and memorize those hard words that we looked over today, right? So what are there again? The words are tacit, endorse, cooperate, antibiotic, melodious, cerebral, dramatic. These are the words. What I would like for you to do is to study them, memorize them, understand what the words mean, and use it in your everyday kind of conversations with your parents, with your friends, because these are words that you can even use on an everyday basis, right? So I mean, we went over some examples of them today. So practice that and do that. Okay. And yeah, and then next is the assignment. So basically, write a short response to the following statement. So life is what you make of it. This is the statement. Write down your response to this, what you think the statement means. How does it apply to your life? Give an example in it. Use about 100 words or so, and post it on the forum by next Friday. So Friday, December 13th. Okay?
Okay.
Okay, guys. That is the end of today's session. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful evening.
Bye. Bye.
Bye. Okay.